Oops, let's look at this. So if we're looking at these notes, so these should be the same as the ones that are on your paper. So we have 4 different things here that we're kind of unsure what all of them are. We have to factor all of these, and then we can move on. So factoring is something that's going to get really important really quick. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to have to factor each one of these 4 things, and then a lot of things will cancel out, and it'll make the actual multiplying these things a lot easier. Because what we're trying to do is multiply this first thing here, trying to multiply this times this. And that's going to be really hard if it looks like it does right now. So first step is just factoring it. So we're going to factor this top one on the left first. So we're trying to find something that multiplies to 7 and adds to 8. So what's that going to be? 7 and 1. And then with our box, we're going to have the x squared plus 7x plus x, and then 7 there, x plus 7, x plus 1. So I'm going to start moving through these really quick because factoring is something that you guys hopefully are familiar with and can get through. But yeah, so I'm going to move through these really quick or else this will take a really long time. So for this first part, we have x plus 7 and x plus 1. And then we're going to look at what's on the bottom on the left. So we look at what we have on the bottom. We're going to find something that multiplies to negative 56 and adds to negative 1. So what's that going to be? Seven and negative 8. Then when we have our box, it's x squared plus 7x minus 8x minus 56. And we have 7, negative 8 with our x's. So then on the bottom here, we have x plus 7 and x minus 8. And you guys can already kind of see where stuff is going to start canceling out. But then we have, before we start canceling everything out, we have what's over here on the right on top, which is we're going to find something that multiplies to 40 and adds to 13, or adds to negative 13. Negative 8 and negative 5. So then with our box, we have x squared minus 8x minus 5x, and then 40. So we have x minus 8, x minus 5. And then what we have left is just what's here on the bottom. So with this one, we only have 2 terms here. So instead of having the box, we're going to have the rectangle where we just have 3x squared and 15x. And what can we take out of both of these? 3x, then what are we left on top? So then we have 3x times x plus 5. So then, now we have all of this up here. So what the first thing we can do is we can just start canceling things out. So since these are multiplied together, anything that's on this whole top or anything that's on this whole bottom can be multiplied together. So it's kind of like this becomes one big long division. So it's all of this over all of this, because remember when you're multiplying fractions, it's numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So then what all can cancel out here? Okay, so the x plus 7s can cancel out. X minus 8s can cancel out. Is there anything else? I don't think so. I think that's it. So then what we're left with is, I'm going to go to another slide real quick. What we have left was x plus 1 times x minus 5 on top, all divided by 3x times, what was left on bottom? X plus 5. So this is our simplified answer. And then just like yesterday, we have to look at the restrictions. And then the restrictions are coming from everything that was here on the bottom. So based off of everything here on the bottom, what would our restrictions be? Yeah, x can't equal -7. X can't equal +8. If we're looking at this one, what's our restriction going to be? So this one, since you're multiplying it, x can't equal 0, because 3 times 0 is what's going to give you 0. And then what about this last one? -5. So then we know all of the things that x can't equal is x can't equal -7, x can't equal +8, x can't equal 0, and x can't equal -5. So this is our simplified answer, and these are our restrictions. Does that make sense so far? Do you guys have any questions? All right. It's a lot of factoring. You guys will be good with factoring by the end of this, hopefully. Because then on this next one, we have more factoring. So again, we're going to look at the top right. So we're trying to find something that multiplies to 4, because we have the 2 and the 2, and adds to 5. So what's that going to be? 4 and 1. So 4 and 1, then when we have our box, we have 2x squared plus 4x plus x, and then we just have 4. So when we're doing this part, what are we going to have? Because this one's a little bit more complicated because it's got the 2x squared and not just x squared. So when we do this, we have to have 2x here, x there, and then when we figure out what do we have to multiply 2x by to get 4x, it's just 2. And then what do we have to multiply? Ooh, see, this one's more complicated because we can't just put that there, because then we have to get x, but then we have to get 4 here, right? Oh, see, I messed up. No, chances are I get things wrong. That's fine. So, yeah, so we have the x2 and then the 2x, and then since that's supposed to be 2 and not 4, we get the 1 there. So we have x plus 2 and 2x plus 1 that's starting out on the top. And then we have what's over here on the bottom. So how's this one a little bit different? What are we going to try to do for this one? So we could try the rectangle, but rectangle's not going to work very well because there's nothing that you can take out of both of these. So it's a little weird, but we're still going to use the x. We're just going to try and find something that multiplies to -4 and adds to 0. Because there's nothing in the middle here with the x, and if we multiply the 4 and the -1 to get what's on top of here, then it's going to multiply -4 and add to 0. And what's that going to be? Yeah, just give me 2 and -2. Then we have the box with 4x squared minus 2x plus 2x and then -1. So what are we going to have here? So we can have 2x, and 2x there will give us 4x squared in this box. We have +1 and -1. Actually, that's the opposite. Because of so the plus 1's going to be there and the minus 1's going to be there because we have negative 2x here and we have positive 2x here. So then we have for what goes on the bottom, 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 1. And we have this whole other side to worry about. So then we got to factor the top part here on the right, which we're trying to find something that multiplies negative 2 and adds to 1, which is going to be multiplying negative 2, adding to 1. What was it? Yeah, it's just negative 2 and 1. Looking at our box, we have 2x squared minus 2. Oops, I have that backwards again. It's 2 and negative 1 because it's adding to positive 1. So it's just positive x squared. So we have negative x, positive x. So we have 2x, negative x, and it's multiplying to negative 1. So here when we're filling out the sides of the box, 2x goes there. Then we just have x. Is that going to be x plus 1 or x minus 1? It's going to be x minus 1 because it's a negative 1 down there. So then on top here we have x minus 1 and 2x plus 1. And we just have one more thing to factor for this one. So then we have to worry about this last one. And then we have to find something that multiplies negative 2 and adds to 1, which sounds pretty similar, doesn't it? It's multiplying to negative 2, adding to 1. It's going to be the same as this one. So just 2 and negative 1. And what's going in the box is x squared, 2x, negative x, and negative 2. So even though the x puzzle was the same, the box is going to be a little bit different because the equation was different. So here we have to have x and x, and then a 2 and a negative 1. So we have x plus 2 and x minus 1. And now we're done factoring for this one. So what else is going to cancel out here? 2x plus 1s are going to cancel out. X plus 2s are going to cancel out. So 2x minus 1, isn't that 2x plus 1? But there's an x minus 1, not a 2x minus 1 that can cancel out. I think, do we cancel everything out right? So then what do we have left? Yeah, so then our simplified, I'm going to write it down here, is 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 1. And that's our simplified answer. It can't get any simpler than that because we can't just divide the 2x by the 2x because these two things are grouped together. And if we can't divide both of these things by what's down here, then we can't divide anything by what's down here. Does that make sense? So there's two 2x plus 1s up here. So there's one from this equation, and then there was one from this equation. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is our simplified answer, but then we have to look at our restrictions. So based on what's up here on the bottom, what can't x be? So x can't be negative 1/2. X can't be negative 2. X can't be, say, 1. And there should be one more, right? And x can't be 1/2. So this is our simplified expression from all of that. And these are the things that x can't be. Do you guys have any questions so far? So the half comes from these two. So if this is going to end up being 0, then it's going to be 2x plus 1. If that equals 0, then you subtract the 1 from both sides, get 2x equals 1, and then x equals 1/2. So this is a case that would give you x equals 0 for this, because we're saying equal to 0, and we're figuring it out for x. Does that make sense? All right, so then we've only got 2 more, but these 2 things are both the same, so it's going to be a little bit easier when we factor it, right? So we're trying to find something that multiplies to 27 and adds to negative 12. So what's that going to be? You guys think about what's multiplying to 27 and adding to negative 12? 9 and 3? Are they both going to be positive? No, they're actually both going to be negative, because multiply 2 negatives together, you get a positive, and you get negative 12. So then when you do your box, you have, and this, it says v, but we're just going to use x, because you can use those interchangeably. So we have x squared minus 9x minus 3x minus 12. Then on our sides, we have the x and the x. We have minus 3. And then, that doesn't seem right. What did I, 27. See, I write the wrong thing in here all the time. And then that's where you're going to have your minus 9. So you have 2 divided by x minus 9, x minus 3, times x minus 9, and x times x minus 3, divided by 3. So then what's going to cancel out here? X minus 9 and the x minus 3. And then we're just going to be left with 2/3, and that's our simplified answer. So this one got pretty easy because these 2 things just canceled out. So anytime you have the same thing on the top that you have at the bottom, you can almost just cancel these 2 things out before you factor it, because you know that they're the same. But then you have to factor it so that you can figure out what your restrictions are. So what are our restrictions going to be here? X can't equal 9 and x can't equal 3. So simplified expression and our restrictions. So then we just have one more. And that's going to be what we have up here, which would take a while to read off. So I'm just going to start factoring it. So do you guys remember the difference of squares? So if we have the x squared minus 16, what do we know our factors are going to be? What was it? So knowing the difference of squares gives you the 2 factors where it's x plus something and x minus something. So here, you're going to have x plus 4 and x minus 4. Because if you have an x squared minus a perfect square, then it's going to be x plus the square root of this number and x minus the square root of this number. And you can also just factor it where you have it multiplies to negative 16 and adds to 0, which is just going to be negative 4 and positive 4. And when you do your box, you get x squared plus 4x minus 4x minus 16, x plus 4, x minus 4. And just get your factors, x plus 4 and x minus 4. So then we have 9 minus x. So can we do anything with that? That one's a little weird. Yeah, we can't do anything with the 9 minus x. So we can just write the 9 minus x right down here. And then we have x squared plus x minus 90 to factor. So the first step, what multiplies the negative 90 and adds to 1? Negative 9 and 10. And we have the box. It's going to be minus 9x, 10x, x squared goes there, and minus 90, which is just going to give us x minus 9 and x plus 10 on the side. So then we have the x minus 9 and the x plus 10 up there. Then we just have one more thing that we have to factor for the notes. And it's going to be x squared plus 14x plus 40. So if we look at that, we have trying to find something that multiplies to 40 and adds to 14. 4 and 10. Simple enough. So x plus 4 and x plus 10, because that's where our box ends up. Are you guys feeling like you're getting more familiar with factoring? How are you guys feeling about factoring? Good? All right. Hopefully, because it's not really going to stop for a while. All right, so now I have everything figured out here. Then what's going to cancel out? So x plus 4s are going to cancel out. X plus 10s are going to cancel out. Anything else? Yeah, so this is x minus 9 and 9 minus x. So if we flip this around, it would be negative x plus 9, which is different than x minus 9, so it doesn't cancel out. So we can't cancel those out, so we're just left with the x minus 4, x minus 9. Actually, I'm going to... So x minus 4, x minus 9, all divided by 9 minus x. So this is our simplified version. And then what do we know about what x can't be? What are our restrictions? What was it? Can't be negative 4? And then what about for the 9 minus x? What can't x be here? Yeah, it's x can't equal 9. So that's the simplified version. And those are the restrictions. Do you guys have any questions about this? Are you getting more familiar with factoring and kind of understanding how everything's canceling out and what you have to do with that? So on the back of this, there's another worksheet. It's fewer than 12 questions. So it's less than yesterday's. But just like I said, it's a lot of factoring. You guys will get pretty familiar with that. But you guys should be able to get quite a bit of this done. So if you start working on this worksheet, if you have any questions, let me know.
Mhm.